Google's new policy will soon require mandatory identity verification for all Android app developers, even those distributing apps outside the official Play Store. While this move is presented as a crucial security measure to protect users from malware, it fundamentally reframes the open act of software creation into a permission-based system, positioning a single corporation as the ultimate gatekeeper. Beyond the immediate benefits of enhanced security, what are the deeper, long-term implications for innovation, anonymity, and the very definition of a free and open internet?
The internet has always whispered promises of openness, right? Of endless possibility, a place where anyone could create and share.
Yeah, it felt like this huge, infinite digital frontier, kind of wild, untamed almost.
Exactly, where innovation could just bloom without asking permission. But what happens when that infinite digital world starts to draw new lines to, build new gates?
And decide who gets to walk through them.
Yeah.
That's a really profound question, actually, because this digital landscape we all live in, it's not static, is it? It's constantly shifting, often in ways that seem subtle at first, but they fundamentally change how we interact with tech, with each other.
These aren't just like minor app updates we're talking about.
No. It's more like the tectonic plates shifting beneath our digital lives, foundational stuff.
Spot on.
Yeah.
And today we're taking a deep dive into exactly one of those big foundational shifts, specifically in the Android ecosystem.
Okay.
We're talking about Google's new policy. They're going to require identity verification for all Android app developers.
All of them, even
for apps installed outside the official Play Store. That's the kicker.
Wow. Okay, so that's that's not a minor update. That's a redefinition of access, of trust.
Of digital sovereignty even.
Right. And our mission for you listening in isn't just to tell you what Google's do. The headlines are out there. You've probably seen them. We want to really unpack why they say they're doing it, and maybe more importantly, explore the deeper stuff, the often unseen implications.
For you as a user, right? And for developers everywhere.
Exactly. And for the very nature of digital freedom itself, Think of it like peeling an onion. We'll start with the practical bits, the details from Google's announcement.
Which sound pretty reasonable on the surface.
Totally. But then we'll follow those quiet whispers of unease, the things that suggest something much bigger, maybe more foundational, is unfolding just beneath that calm surface.
And we'll try to break down all the complex ideas and make them really easy to digest so you walk away actually understanding the significance of what's happening here.
Yeah, getting the full picture.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The headline news, like you said, seems straightforward enough. Google's changing how apps get installed on Android. Soon, identity verification for all developers. Big move, bold move. At first glance, maybe it just sounds like a simple security upgrade.
Well, yeah, and it's really crucial to clarify for you, the listener, this isn't just about the apps you grab from the Google Play Store, the place most people get their apps.
Right. The familiar one.
This new policy, it stretches out to cover side-loaded apps, too. Those are the ones you might install from other places entirely.
Explain sideloading a bit more. Because before this, Android users had this unique freedom, didn't they?
They really did. If you found an app, maybe it wasn't on the Play Store, perhaps from a developer's own website, or like a niche open source community.
Or maybe a regional app store, something specific to your area.
Yeah, exactly. You could download it, install it. That was part of the Android appeal for many.
So we're not just talking about sketchy, untrustworthy apps here necessarily.
No, not at all. This could be a really specific niche tool, maybe a cutting-edge beta game someone's testing out.
Or even a privacy-focused app that, for whatever reason, just doesn't make it onto the Play Store. Maybe it violates some obscure rule, or the dev just prefers distributing it themselves.
Right.
I remember back in the early days of Android, sideloading felt like a rite of passage for the power users, a way to really customize your phone, push the limits. This sounds like it fundamentally changes that whole dynamic.
It absolutely does. Let's try an analogy. Imagine you're in a big city park.
Okay.
Before, you could stand pretty much anywhere, public a street corner, in the park, and hand out flyers. For your band, your small business, a cause.
No questions asked, basically.
Right. Now, imagine needing a verified ID, a specific permit from some central authority, maybe not even the city council, but like one giant global corporation.
Just to hand out those flyers on any public street, not just inside, say, a controlled market like a mall.
Exactly. And here's where the analogy kind of falls short, actually.
Yeah.
A city council's reach is limited, right? Public spaces.
Yeah.
Google, though, is effectively creating a permit system for what can be installed on your personal device if it uses their services.
Which is most Android phones globally.
Billions of them. It's a level of control that goes way beyond a local government.
That's a really powerful distinction. Okay, so what's the immediate practical impact? For users, for developers, what does this rule mean day to day?
Well, the cannot install consequence is, it's pretty stark. It's immediate.
Okay.
If an app's developer hasn't had their identity verified by Google through this new system they're building, that app just won't be installable, period.
On most Android devices.
On most Android devices that have Google services. And let's be honest, that's the vast majority of Android phones and tablets out there.
So this isn't some small niche thing.
No, it's practically a universal requirement if you want to distribute any app to any user on the Android platform outside the Play Store. It means if a developer, for whatever reason, maybe they can't or just choose not to do this verification.
Their app basically vanishes for most Android users.
Effectively, yes. It ceases to exist for that huge user base.
Wow. Okay. So for a small indie developer, or maybe someone just starting out coding in their bedroom, that's a massive barrier.
Huge. It's not just about writing good code anymore. Now you have to navigate this whole verification bureaucracy.
So what is that process exactly? Google isn't just saying get verified and leaving it there. They're building something.
Right. They're building a special dashboard. It's dedicated specifically for developers who want to distribute their apps outside the Play Store.
Okay.
And these developers will need to register and verify their identity through this new system.
Is this like a quick online form? Or are we talking a serious investment of time, maybe money, providing documents?
It's definitely more involved than just a quick form. While all the exact details of the dashboard are still coming out, what's really fascinating and I think telling is the scope of the verification.
What do you mean?
It's really important to understand. Google says they will only be checking and verifying the developer's identity.
Okay.
They will not be reviewing the app's content. They won't be looking at its functionality, what it actually does.
That distinction is key, isn't it?
Absolutely crucial, because it tells us exactly what kind of gate they're building. It's not a quality control gate. It's not checking for features or preventing spammy apps necessarily.
It's a gate for who is allowed to build and share in the first place.
Precisely. The focus is entirely on establishing and confirming your identity within Google's system, what the source called their global ledger of trust.
A global ledger of trust.
Wow, yeah. So they're not really evaluating the book, to use that analogy again. They're demanding to know the author's full verified credentials before the book can even be handed out on the street.
That distinction really does crystallize the intent, or at least the immediate function. Okay, so that's the what and the initial how. Now let's get into the why, according to Google.
Right, the official justification.
And their stated rationale is, well, it's incredibly compelling, isn't it? On the surface, anyway.
Yeah.
This whole policy is being presented as a critical move to boost security for Android users.
Safety first.
It sounds like a pure win for safety, something most people would probably welcome with open arms.
Absolutely. And Google is making a very direct, very strong case here. They're saying this change is designed to tackle a significant and growing threat.
Okay.
They claim, quite explicitly, that apps installed via sideloading, those non-Play Store apps, are 50 times more likely to contain malicious code, malware, viruses, that kind of thing.
50 times?
Compared to apps downloaded from the official Google Play Store. That's a really eye-opening statistic, isn't it?
Yeah, 50 times. That's a huge number. It's a stark warning designed to highlight the danger they see in these unverified sources.
They're basically saying the current open system is a major vulnerability, a security hole, and they have the data, they claim, to back it up.
And look, for the vast majority of users, people who aren't deliberately seeking out obscure app stores maybe aren't even aware of what sideloading is.
Which is most people.
Right. A measure like this could genuinely stop a lot of problems, protect them from serious digital threats, from ransomware, data theft.
All that nasty stuff that can silently mess up your device and steal your info.
You hear that number 50 times more likely, and your gut reaction is probably, yeah, I want more protection. It's a powerful argument from Google's side. Understandable.
And they're also pointing to their own track record as justification. They mention the developer identity verification they already have on Google Play.
Right, they implemented that back in 2023.
Exactly. And they claim that policy has already significantly reduced malware and fraud on their official platform.
So the logic is,
Yeah.
it worked there in that controlled garden, so let's extend it everywhere else.
Pretty much. It's not a totally new idea for them. It's expanding something they believe has already proven effective, applying that perceived success much more broadly across the entire Android ecosystem.
So, okay, putting it all together, the logic seems incredibly compelling, almost soothing in a way. Who wouldn't want protection from malware, from fraud, from what Google calls the silent predation of malicious actors hiding behind anonymous code?
That sounds good.
Yeah, this whole argument makes the change seem not just practical, but genuinely protective, like a benevolent guardian stepping in to keep you safe from digital dangers.
It's hard to argue against safety, isn't it? It feels like a clear win for everybody involved.
It really does.
Yeah.
The appeal of being shielded from online threats is universal. And for many, many users, this policy probably will feel like a welcome security boost, something that makes their phone safer without them needing to become cybersecurity experts.
Google's definitely tapping into a very real, very understandable desire for safety and security in what feels like an increasingly complex and sometimes scary online world.
And that's a totally valid perspective. This seems like a clear win for safety. You hear 50 times, you remember that time you nearly clicked a dodgy link and you think, more protection, yes, please. But you hinted earlier, there's more to this story. As with a lot of big changes presented as purely good, we need to kind of pause here, hold that thought.
Right, because there's often more going on beneath the surface than what first meets the eye.
Yeah.
We need to dig a bit deeper to get the full, nuanced picture.
Because security, especially when it's provided by one really powerful entity, it isn't just about building walls, is it?
No, it's also about who builds those walls, and maybe more importantly, who holds the keys to the gates. So this policy, it invites us, maybe even requires us, to look beyond the immediate and, yes, laudable benefits of better security. We need to consider the broader implications.
Because a security measure, even with the best intentions, can inadvertently change the whole landscape, reshape the architecture of what we thought was open and free.
Exactly, sometimes in unexpected, fundamental ways.
And that's where we start seeing this fundamental shift, isn't it?
Yeah.
The kind of pivot you don't often get to see happening in real time. This change, it transforms the very act of creating software, distributing it, sharing it. What used to be this open, almost, anarchic act of creation.
Permissionless innovation.
Yeah. Now it becomes conditional. Before, if you had an idea, if you could code it, you could basically share it. Now, there's a new gatekeeper standing right at the threshold.
And the new condition is incredibly clear. It's uncompromising. A developer must be verified. Their real-world identity has to be linked into Google's system, that global ledger of trust we mentioned.
Before their creation, their app can even be installed by users.
Right. And understanding that ledger, imagine Google building this huge, centralized, probably permanent digital registry, a global database, essentially, where every single developer who wants their app to run on an Android device has to have their real-world identity formally recorded, validated, maybe even continually monitored.
It's not just a list, then. It's like a digital passport system for developers.
Sort of. It's a comprehensive system designed to know who you are in their eyes and implicitly assign trustworthiness based on that verified identity. This is a really critical pivot.
So it's not just a one-time check-in. It's about being permanently cataloged, visible to Google. And this fundamentally changes the core question, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, it's no longer primarily about whether the software itself is safe or functional or does what it says, or even if it has bugs.
Right.
It shifts the focus entirely onto whether the developer exists in the eyes of Google and whether Google approves of that identity. That's a huge change in the digital contract between the creator, the platform, and us, the users.
It absolutely is. Let me try that book analogy again, just to make it super clear. Imagine trying to publish any book.
Okay.
Before anyone can buy it, let alone read it, you first need a specific private corporation, one of the biggest on earth, mind you, to verify who you are to their satisfaction.
Meaning my name, address, ID.
Potentially all of that, maybe even financial details. And this verification is required regardless of the book's content. Doesn't matter if it's genius or junk. Doesn't matter about the words on the page.
It's about the person who wrote them.
Exactly. That's the kind of first gate being set up here for every single app, every piece of software wanting to reach Android users outside the Play Store. It's this extra layer that has absolutely nothing to do with the creation itself or its merit.
That book analogy really does drive home the power dynamic here. And it brings us to this fascinating point about the ritual of verification. What identity really means in this whole context.
The word itself, identity, carries so much weight, doesn't it? Historically, metaphorically.
How so? Like in myths.
Yeah, exactly. In countless myths, folklore from all over. Knowing the true name of something or someone often granted this unique, almost magical power.
Like controlling demons or summoning gods.
Right. Or binding powerful forces, or even escaping danger just by revealing your true name. Verification isn't just confirming something exists, it's a claim of authority. It's like drawing a circle and saying, you belong inside, or you stay outside.
So applying that to Android, Google, through this system, gets to decide who is what digitally legitimate.
Essentially, yes. Who gets to participate in their massive digital ecosystem, which, let's face it, is a huge chunk of the global digital world. It's not about binding actual demons, obviously, but it grants them the ultimate authority over participation.
So it's not just filtering out the bad guys, it's defining who gets a seat at the table in the first place, regardless of their intentions. And when we talk about Google's dashboard for this verification, the source material calls it a ritual. That's a really loaded word. Why a ritual and not just a process?
That's a great question. Because a ritual, inherently, it's a formalized procedure, right? Often with symbolic weight. It marks a transition, confers a status. Developers have to present themselves, submit their credentials, and be judged worthy of entry by this new system. It's not just ticking a box. It's submitting to an authority to be recognized, to be sanctioned. It's like an initiation.
So in this setup, the corporation, Google, using the language of protection, of security, they become both priest and gatekeepers.
That's the framing, yeah. They preside over the ritual. They decide who gets passage, who stays outside the circle of trust. And here's the thing about rituals. While they often protect, they always also separate.
They create distinctions.
Exactly. They draw lines between the initiated and the excluded, often with really profound consequences.
That's a chilling thought.
Yeah.
This ritual doesn't just protect, it defines who's in and who's out. So this raises some really big questions about who might get left outside this new circle, who might struggle to get in, or maybe just choose not to participate. The first group that jumps to my mind are the hobbyists.
Yeah, the independent creators.
People coding purely for passion, maybe in their spare time, building a niche tool for their local club, a quirky game, a little utility.
They often don't have formal company structures set up, right? Or maybe not the resources, the time, the money to jump through a bunch of verification hoops.
Their whole motivation might just be to create something cool and share it, not run a business or deal with legal stuff.
And that's not a tiny group. The open nature of Android historically fostered this incredibly vibrant community of amateur devs, tinkerers, enthusiasts.
Think about students learning to code by building a simple app for their friends.
Or someone older creating a digital photo album app just for their family. This policy adds a whole new layer of complexity that could just deter them completely. Suddenly, making something isn't enough. You have to formally present your identity to this giant corporation first.
Okay, then there's a much more serious category, dissidents.
Yeah, that's critical.
Individuals, maybe groups, creating tools specifically for privacy, for anonymity, or for political expression in places where free speech is heavily restricted.
Where revealing your real identity could be incredibly dangerous, life-threatening even.
For them, anonymity isn't about hiding something bad, it's about survival. It's about being able to speak truth to power, or organize, or just communicate safely without fear of ending up in jail, or worse.
Right. And this new requirement could effectively silence them, not because their software is harmful, but because their identity must remain hidden for their own safety.
That's a critical point. Imagine an activist, say, building an encrypted messaging app for their community in a country with heavy surveillance. If they have to formally verify their identity with Google, that information, could it become accessible, maybe directly or indirectly, to the authorities they're trying to protect people from?
That's the fear. It puts them and potentially all their users at immense risk. The very act of creating a tool for secure communication becomes an act that could incriminate you. This isn't just theoretical, it's a very real possibility in many parts of the world today.
And let's not forget another group, the wary or maybe the proud.
What do you mean?
People who might just be reluctant, maybe for philosophical reasons or privacy concerns or even just practical ones, to hand over all their personal identity details to a massive private company like Google.
Yeah, the principle of the thing.
Some might simply believe that creativity, innovation, especially online, shouldn't depend on revealing everything about yourself to a corporation, no matter how good their stated intentions are.
That's a deeply held belief in parts of the tech community, especially the open source world. It's part of the original internet ethos, wasn't it? That you could contribute based on the merit of your work, not your credentials.
And this policy seems to challenge that fundamentally.
It really does. Which leads to that profound question about the impact on creativity itself. What happens to that spontaneous, maybe slightly chaotic, unfettered creativity?
When it's not enough just to create something brilliant or fun anymore.
Right. Now, you first have to be seen by the system, approved by the gatekeeper, before your creation itself can even live, can even be installed.
It's a huge shift from that open permissionless model we talked about to one that requires prior authorization. It feels like it could stifle ideas before they even get off the ground.
Potentially, yes, especially the unconventional ones.
I remember the old days. Installing an app sometimes felt like clicking a link and just hoping for the best, right?
Oh, yeah. Total gamble sometimes.
Sometimes it was amazing. Sometimes your phone started, I don't know, singing opera and error messages. But this new policy, it feels like it's taking that Wild West freedom, and maybe some of that chaos too, completely off the table.
Seems like it. But you know, this isn't entirely new territory, is it? If we look back, history has some powerful parallels. Gates being built in the name of safety. That's happened before, many times.
Like what? Give us an example.
Well, think about medieval cities. Classic, tangible example. They built these huge high walls to keep out armies, sure, but also
Lock the gates at night against thieves, right?
exactly, against marauders, unwanted elements. And inside those walls, life thrived. Trade happened, communities felt safer, more secure.
But there's always a but.
But that safety was only for those allowed inside. Strangers, they were questioned at the gate, registered, sometimes just flat out denied entry.
So safety for some meant explicit exclusion for others. The gate defined who belonged and who didn't, literally shaped who could even participate in the life of the city.
Precisely. And it wasn't just physical walls either. Think about the printing press.
Ah, okay. Revolutionary tech.
Totally changed the game. Suddenly ideas could spread like wildfire, and that terrified people in power.
Because they couldn't control it easily.
Exactly. So for centuries after Gutenberg, rulers all over Europe demanded licenses. You couldn't just set up a press and print whatever you wanted, pamphlets, books.
You needed permission first.
Yeah.
From the king, the church, some powerful noble.
Right, and the stated reasons. Almost always sounded like security. To prevent sedition against the crown, stop blasphemy against the church, suppress dangerous ideas that might upset the social order.
Sounds familiar.
Doesn't it? But we know now, looking back, that in practice, this control basically weaponized the press.
How so?
It let the gatekeepers, the monarchs, the church, the elites decide which voices got heard and which got silenced. Often before the ink even hit the paper. It was a powerful tool for controlling the narrative, stifling dissent, keeping the status quo, all under the banner of safety and order.
That history lesson feels incredibly relevant. It shows how controlling the distribution channels can easily become controlling thought itself. It wasn't about the quality of the ideas back then, but the identity of the person expressing them and whether the gatekeepers approved. So those rulers used licensing to decide whose idea saw the light of day. Today, with Google, maybe it's not blasphemy they're stopping, but unverified code. Is the mechanism of control really that different if the outcome might still be silencing certain voices or creations?
That's the uncomfortable parallel, isn't it? And now, in our digital age, the gate isn't stone walls. It's not royal censors reviewing manuscripts.
It takes a subtler form, as the source puts it.
Yeah. Code. Policies. Verification rituals woven into the very operating system that billions carry in their pockets.
An invisible gate? But maybe just as effective. Or even more so.
Arguably more pervasive because it's baked right into the infrastructure we all use. It's not a physical barrier you can see and maybe try to get around. It's programmatic. It's automatic.
And the key lesson from history here
Is that gates rarely open wider once they are built. That's the really crucial takeaway. Once these kinds of controls are put in place, once the precedent is set, they tend to solidify. They often expand.
they become the new normal.
Right. And it becomes incredibly difficult to ever go back to how things were before, to that state of openness. So this policy, It could be seen not just as a security fix for today, but maybe as the foundation for future, perhaps even broader, controls over the digital content we consume, the tools we use.
History suggests this might be the beginning of something, not the end.
That's often how these things play out, yes.
Okay, so let's circle back to the counterpoint again, because it's important we wrestle with this fairly. Someone listening might be thinking, come on, surely there's nothing sinister here. This is only about stopping malware, stopping fraud, keeping ordinary users safe.
And that's a perfectly reasonable perspective. Who wants malware? Who wants their data stolen? These are real, urgent problems in our digital lives. No one's denying that.
Fair enough.
And we have to acknowledge the internet has always been this complex ecology of trust and distrust, hasn't it? We already navigate risks constantly. Users learn, maybe the hard way sometimes, to be cautious, to evaluate sources, to sniff out scams.
Was that possibility of just stumbling onto something unexpected, maybe unregulated, unverified, wasn't that part of the internet's early power, its dynamism?
I think it was. It allowed for really rapid innovation, diverse voices, even just discovering tools and ideas by chance that didn't fit neatly into corporate boxes. There was a certain vibrancy to that wildness, even with its risks.
That really speaks to the spirit of exploration that so many people felt about the early web. But when trust gets centralized, consolidated within one single massive corporate system like Google's, something fundamental changes, doesn't it?
It does. The source uses this metaphor. Creativity that once sprouted in wild, unpredictable soil with all its messy imperfections and unexpected growth.
Yeah.
It's now being transplanted into neatly fenced gardens.
Okay, so you gain order, predictability,
Right.
protection from weeds maybe?
Sure, but you lose some of that wild, spontaneous energy, that delightful messiness that often sparks true breakthroughs, true innovation.
And the price of that order, according to the source material, is conformity.
The cost of trust is conformity. That's the provocative line. To build, you must present your passport. To share, you must be counted.
Implying a system where your individual expression, your development work, has to pass through this corporate filter first, align with their terms, their view of legitimacy.
That seems to be the implication. It potentially removes the ability for truly anonymous contributions, even if that contribution is entirely positive, innovative, or maybe critically important for certain groups.
And anonymity. That's another concept that gets such a bad rap sometimes, isn't it? It's often profoundly misunderstood.
Totally. It's not always the mask of a criminal or someone trying to deceive people. Far from it.
Anonymity can be the refuge of the vulnerable, as the source says.
Exactly. The dissident in a repressive country. The whistleblower exposing corruption. The artist or thinker putting out radical ideas without fearing a media backlash or censorship or losing their job.
It allows voices that might otherwise be totally silenced due to fear or prejudice or political pressure. It allows them to actually be heard precisely because their identity is protected.
This is a huge ethical dimension, especially when you think globally. If we already see how, say, faceless channels on YouTube sometimes face extra scrutiny or struggle with perception just because the creator is anonymous, what happens to faceless developers when this verification ritual becomes the standard policy, the law of the digital land for Android?
Could it have a significant chilling effect on certain kinds of software development? Maybe the disruptive kind, the privacy-focused kind, even just the weirdly creative kind.
It certainly could. It might mean that the person with the idea for the next truly secure communication tool for activists or the next boundary-pushing artistic app, they might just never build it or never share it if they can't or won't verify their identity with Google first.
So, okay, summing this part up, safety might genuinely increase, and that's a real benefit for many people. We can't just dismiss that.
No, absolutely not.
But the digital world could also become, I don't know, quieter, blander, more predictable.
That's the potential trade-off, yeah. It goes beyond just simple security. It touches the very character, the vibrancy, the diversity of our digital future, something we all, as users, as creators, really need to think about deeply as these changes roll out.
We might gain some peace of mind about malware, but lose something vital, something less tangible in the process.
And it's fascinating how Google is actually rolling this out. It's not like flipping a switch overnight.
No, it's not immediate.
No, not at all. Which might be why it hasn't caused a massive uproar yet. Their implementation plan is gradual. It unfolds in distinct, carefully planned phases.
Okay, break that down for us.
So the system starts testing with early access pretty soon, October of this year, 2025. That gives them time to work out the kinks, see how developers react initially.
Right, like a beta test for the verification system itself.
Exactly. Then all developers are supposed to get access to this new verification dashboard by March 2026. That gives everyone time to understand the process, maybe gather the documents they need, prepare for what's coming.
But the actual enforcement, the part where unverified apps stop installing, that doesn't happen then.
No. That's slated for an official launch, but only in specific targeted regions first. Brazil, Indonesia, Singapore, and Thailand. That's planned for September 2026.
Ah, so like a test market for the actual control mechanism.
Yeah.
Very deliberate.
Seems very strategic, yes. And then from there, the plan is a global rollout of the policy by 2027.
This phased approach, this slow reveal, it feels incredibly calculated, doesn't it? Why it's so gradual? Why not just turn it on everywhere if it's such an urgent security fix?
Well, the source material suggests that rituals require preparation.
Implying a gradual conditioning, getting people used to the idea.
Kind of. A subtle easing of everyone into this new reality. This phased approach gives people time to get accustomed to the system, maybe even eventually to become grateful for the safety they perceive it providing.
Before it hits them everywhere. So the loss of freedom will have been reframed as the gain of safety.
That's the idea. If they rolled this out globally overnight, you might see significant pushback from developers, privacy groups.
But doing it gradually, region by region, the new normal just slowly settles in. Makes it harder to resist, maybe harder to even notice the full scope of the change.
It could certainly have that effect. It normalizes the process over time.
And this slow reveal, this gradual closing of the gate, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? It prompts this really lingering, almost philosophical question.
Which is?
When the gate is finally closed, will we even remember what it was like when it was open? Will the memory of a truly open, permissionless, digital space where anyone could just code something and share it without asking a corporation first, will that just fade away? Replaced by this new normal of corporate-approved entry, a curated digital experience.
It's a profound thought. It really touches on how quickly we adapt, how quickly our baseline expectations can shift with technology.
Yeah. And that's a powerful point. It brings us right to the fundamental question here, one that goes way beyond Google's stated reasons for this policy.
Beyond the security arguments.
Yeah, we've talked about security, malware, fraud. Those are real issues. But underneath all that, there's a deeper, more fundamental question shaping our whole digital future.
And that core question is?
Who decides what the digital world should be?
The big one.
For decades, right, the internet was celebrated, maybe even mythologized, as this great commons, this vast, open, ungoverned space. Too big, too messy for any one company, any one government to really control.
That was the dream, wasn't it? The level playing field for innovation, for information, the Wild West.
But what we see happening again and again, and maybe accelerating now, is corporations stepping into roles that used to belong to, I don't know, monarchs and priests. Governments, established authorities.
They're increasingly controlling the gates, defining the ritual, shaping the flows of creativity and information. It's not just about app stores now, it's about the fundamental infrastructure of our digital lives and who writes the rules for that infrastructure.
A shift from decentralized and open towards more centralized and controlled ecosystems?
Seems that way. And for you, listening right now, you are not untouched by this. Not at all.
How so?
Every choice you make online, every app you decide to download, or maybe you can't download anymore, every digital act you perform passes through these gates.
Even if we don't consciously notice them.
Especially if you don't notice them. They're subtly woven into the code, the policies of your devices, the services you use every day. You might not notice the gates, but they notice you. They are shaping your experience, your choices, your access to tools and information, often without you even realizing it.
This isn't just theoretical then, it's deeply personal. It affects everyone using these technologies.
Absolutely. Which means this discussion goes way beyond just Android apps or checking developer IDs.
It's fundamentally about the architecture of freedom itself in this digital age we're living in. It forces us to confront a challenge. to a core belief many of us probably held about the internet, that belief in its inherent openness, its resistance to being fenced in.
It makes us ask ourselves, do we still believe in an internet without walls?
Or are we, maybe by accepting these gates, bit by bit, in the name of safety, gradually agreeing to a future where the digital world is increasingly enclosed, controlled, curated by just a few very powerful companies?
Yeah. And if that's the direction we're heading, what are the long-term consequences for innovation, for free expression, for just individual autonomy online?
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. We journeyed from the specifics of Google's new Android policy, what it means for you, for developers, all the way to these historical echoes of gatekeeping.
Seeing how these patterns repeat across centuries.
And we dove into the deeper philosophical implications of centralizing control over digital creation. We've seen how something that looks like a minor security tweak on the surface
Can actually reshape the entire landscape of our online world. Change who gets to create, who gets to share, and ultimately what you, the user, can even access or discover.
And it's important to remember, futures are rarely built in these huge, dramatic revolutions that everyone sees coming.
No, much more often they're forged in these quiet policies, in seemingly minor adjustments to systems we barely notice until it is too late, until they've just become the way things are.
This isn't some big, flashy change grabbing all the headlines right now. It's subtle, foundational, but it could have these massive ripple effects for years, decades to come.
And we have to hold both sides of this, right? This change genuinely holds the potential for increased safety, protecting billions of people from real harm. That's a goal we can all agree is worthwhile, necessary even.
Absolutely.
But it also carries this undeniable risk, unforeseen consequences, maybe silencing voices we never even knew we needed, preventing creations we can't even imagine yet.
Drawing these invisible lines in the digital sand that one day maybe we'll regret crossing without having fully understood the long-term impact on that open internet we thought we had.
So we want to leave you with this question, something to just chew on, mull over in the days ahead, something to keep you maybe a little unsettled, but definitely awake and aware.
Okay, what is it?
When the gates close, who will still be allowed inside and who will be left outside, waiting in the dark?
That's a powerful final thought.
Keep observing what's happening. Keep asking questions. Keep reflecting on how the architecture of your own digital life is changing around you.
Because understanding these shifts, even the quiet ones, is really the first step toward shaping the digital world you actually want to live in.
If you enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to the later update from my channel. Thank you for watching till the end, and see you in the next video.